Hey guys, I wanted to put a special message out. We covered this a little bit on the online fellowships last Sunday, and I'm sure we'll do it again this Sunday with everything going on in the world and the Middle East in particular. And so I'm going to do my best to really heal your book a little bit, as well as help share prayers that actually work. And so this is not about the right of Israel to defend themselves. Of course, you can defend themselves when there's this much hatred, this much anger in people. But here's what I really want to get at is where did that hate, where did that anger come from? And it comes from religious books on both sides, guys, I promise you. And the reason we're in this position right now, obviously the Jewish nation's been praying, pretty much all of Western Christianity has been praying. And so you got to conclude, they've been praying for the protection of Israel. Israel's God's chosen people. If the whole Jewish nation's praying and all the Christians have been praying and things like this happen, then you have to conclude either this is God's will, which God is perfect love, and that's not his will, guys, or your prayers aren't working. And so it's because of the text. And I'm gonna share with you a little bit why we got to where we're at, including Western theology as well as the Quran and other religious texts. And both of them at the end really have this idea that God's a conqueror and is going to destroy the other side. In my book's right, and your book's not. And so people become like the God they worship. So if they think God is warring, guess what? We go to war against the other one. And I'm actually interested in peace. So we don't have this anger rising up in religious circles, because I know that love always wins, and it really does. So like I said, I'm not a pacifist where, hey, you got to just sit there and get steamrolled. I'm saying, what if we could actually bring peace to a region, which, praying the correct way, they've actually shown scientifically you can do. And so that's what I'm after. So I'm gonna talk about the text first a little bit. Let me read something. This is, I've shared with some of you guys before, my son Samuel. Thank God my kids understand this. There's a whole we'll talk about blood a little bit, because especially in the Hebrew and Greek text translated into our Christian Bible, blood is completely misunderstood. And maybe we'll get into that a little bit, because bloodshed, most have interpreted it as the red stuff that comes out when you cut your finger. That is not at all what it says in Greek and Hebrew, guys, and I'll show you that. But anyway, let me read you this from Leviticus. If you've ever seen my son do this, let me just read it to you. So this is let's see, this is the International Children's Bible. Now you see if this is appropriate for children. So I'm going to start in let's see, verse 28. So this is God, guys. This is our introduction to God. I will show my anger. I will punish you 7 more times for your sins. You will eat the bodies of your sons and daughters. I will destroy your places where false gods are worshipped. I will cut down your incense altars. I will pile your dead bodies on the lifeless forms of your idols. I will hate you. I will destroy your cities. You have to conclude that God's a psychopath, or the Christian narrative is then blood had to be shed. Now blood was shed. It's the cleansing of the temple. And I promise you guys, is even the blood of Jesus. Go look at those verses again. And if you understand the Greek and Hebrew letters, you're going to see something very different. I was looking at Pontius Pilate and the different things today. And if you go look at the blood there, guys, and read what it actually says, they've misinterpreted it. This is the life that comes from the seed. Physically, here we are. That's blood. That's why the life is in the blood. And the life that comes from the spirit when the spirit leaves the firmness of your body. And so anyway, now somebody goes, Leviticus, that's Old Testament. Blood's been shed. Now God's happy again. That's strange if you really just be open to it, guys. And like I said, I'm into results. if the whole Christian world, if the whole nation of Israel has been praying and this is still happening, maybe we don't have it right. That's all I'm trying to get you to understand. You might say, well, this is old covenant. All right, let's go to the new covenant. Let's go to Revelation. I've gotten lots of messages. See, this is the tribulation, and they completely miss what this is all about. So I'm just going to go to Revelation. All right. So the first 6 bowls of wrath, and I even see a lot of the politicians and different things talking about God's wrath on whoever touches Israel. And they've completely missed it, I promise you. Now, I'm not for or against. I'm not saying, picking sides. I'm saying they've taken the text and made it something ugly. And it's actually all about intimacy. The whole thing is about the seed of life that's released in the blood, the new life that's given for this life, the physical life, and the spirit that's released, the cleansing of the blood of the temple of the spirit. When the word leaves your mouth and the spirit leaves your body, it's the cleansing and the perfection of your flesh, and it brings new life. So let's just look at this. I heard a loud voice from the temple saying to the 7 angels, go, pour out on the earth the 7 bowls of God's wrath. Does that sound like there's an end of terror, of war, of God beating somebody? It sure does if you read it in English. But let's go look at this a little bit. Go pour out. The 7 should tell you, hepta, 7 is literally the completion of the upright stake, the sword. It's talking about the completion of the covenant of intimacy, the golden flame, the crowned man. If you go look at 7, and 7 is always the completion of the covenant. The number 7, figurative meaning the finished work, the deed has been done, both in the Old Testament and New Testament. Guys, that is the seed's been released. The covenant has been completed. I guarantee you. If you go look at, it's the crowned man, it's the declaration of the king, it's the word that doesn't return void, and it's the seed that's released of bowls of God's wrath. So let's just look at this. God is pretty simple, theos. But here you have tet, the serpent, and you shall behold, and omicron, I see the passion that comes from the serpent. It literally is when you lay down your flesh, you shall not die. You're going to see this passion. And so wrath, passion, literally passion. An outburst of passion, wrath. It doesn't have to be, New Testament, they translate as God's rage, because they translate God as rage. And God is pure love, guys. Always has been, always will. So where does this rage come from? From ourselves. There's no way, like I said, that you could do some of the things that people are doing to the people of Israel if there wasn't rage within themselves. And they get it from their religious texts, guys. And we even get it. The Lord exercises righteous wrath. Okay, there's righteous wrath. Okay, weird. But it's to be in heat, to breathe violently. This is passion, guys. This is intimacy, is what it is. I promise you, that's what it is. It's getting heated up, breathing violently. That's what happens when people are passionate in intimacy, guys. So bowls. Let's go look at this bowls once. All right. A shallow bowl, all right, of bowls of God's passion. Well, I've been trying to tell you, in the Septuagint, it's for mitzrak. So mem, zayin, resh, kuf, okay? But even in Greek, if you look at it, pei, you've got the word that comes out, the iota, the yod, the finished work of the ox and the casting of the rod, eta, lamed. So something's cast out of the rod, which is the finished work that carries the strength of the ox. That's Greek, but it is translated for mitzrak in Hebrew. So let's go look up mitzrak, and I'll show you a couple places. Blue Letter Bible, wine, the juice of the grapes. Guys, these are the grapes are the 2 parts of the male with the vine. These are the testicles. Those are the grapes, guys, I promise you. And this is a basin or vessel for the throwing or tossing of liquid, as a bowl. So bowl, basin, vessel for throwing or tossing a liquid. Which liquid? Wine, blood. So let's go. Let's see. So let's go look at blood. It's the casting of blood, the cleansing of the blood. This is the casting of the seed, literally. So let's go look at dam a minute. It's the Hebrew word for blood. All right. And it's Delet Mem. All right. So this is a doorway. This is the mighty waters. And the basin is the casting or the vessel for this mighty waters. There's a male part, which is the vessel for the casting of the bowl of the Old Testament. Here you and I are, the flesh. And we, the whole body, is the vessel for the casting of the spirit that's cast out of us when we lay down to sleep. And go look up word, lego, legon. It'll actually say originally means to lay down to sleep. So I'm just trying to help you. But in the end, you can skip all this if you want, and I'll just go straight to the end of how to honestly pray. If you want to just argue the book, we're going to get more violence in the Middle East. If you really want to solve the problem, and which I do, and you really want to bring peace to people, they have to understand that they have to experience peace first and get this concept that God's going to throw his wrath on one side or the other, which both sides right now, the Judeo-Christian side and the Muslim side, both think they're right. And guess what? So we continue to get chaos. So anyway, dams. Let's go to, let me move my little thing here. All right. So let me do this, let me go to Hebrew. So Delet is the door. It's the flap of the tent. It was a picture of a flap. So it's to move in or out or the doorway. And then Mem is number 40. This is key because I want to show you something. Water, chaos, blood. Well, again, if you think even the blood of Jesus was mistranslated to mean when you're cut, something red comes out. When he's pierced, something red comes out. Now go look at it again, guys. Go look at the thorn. The thorn is the pointy thing, the object, the sword, the nail, the thorn, the crown, the kingly man on his reish, his head. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. I'm just saying we've mistranslated it. It's actually about life-giving intimacy in both covenants. I guarantee you, guys. So anyway, so Mem is this water, this blood, this mighty waters. Now watch this, guys. This is really key. The life is in the blood. Well, if you drain somebody's hemoglobin, their red blood, do they live or die? They die. That was always interesting to me. So they translated as somebody must die in order to bring life. Well, that's not what it's saying. The life is in the blood, is in the water. It's in the mighty waters that give birth and incubate after 40 days. Now watch 40. It's the number 40 in Hebrew, guys. So you can go look this up. You can go Google. Number 40 in Hebrew is the 40 days and 40 weeks of incubation. Now look at this, the 40 in the mikvah. The embryo takes 40 days to attain recognized human form. Now, the waters that take 40 days to incubate, is that when you cut your finger and that blood comes out? Or is it the finished work of intimacy of a covenant when the seed or the semen is released from the vessel that scatters it? I'm telling you, they missed this. So the letter Mem derives its name from Mayim, the Hebrew word for water. This is the mighty waters, right? Life is in that mighty water. And of course, guys, where does life come from? When a man and woman complete the covenant in intimacy and the mighty waters are released, the man rests, he shaloms, there's divine rest. And in 40 days, guess what happens? The seed begins to incubate and eventually she begins to show. It's the show bread. And the other bread is in the unseen, the life in the unseen, which is in the holiest of holies, which is right up here, guys, in your mind, in your head. So therefore, it's not very surprising to learn the letter Mem was used to represent the mikvah. You can go read that on yourself. Another concept we find associated with the letter Mem is that of the womb. Exactly, not when you cut your finger and blood is shed, guys. The final Mem is the closed womb during pregnancy, while the open Mem is the open womb giving birth. The numerical value of 40 associated with Mem also represents the 40 days in which the embryo is formed. All right, so if you go back to blood, it's the mighty waters that incubate after 40 days and form an embryo, new life, that comes out of the doorway. Hello, that is not the blood that we've been trying to share, that blood had to be shed in the concept of we think of blood. This is not that, guys. So I promise you. So anyway, if you go back to that, it's actually this beautiful story of the completion in Revelation. It's not talking about God's going to go destroy all of his enemies at the end. The enemy is just the other one, the other intimacy. If you go look at it again, the one close to you, near you, it's actually the intimacy of the Spirit. And we've got this so backwards, guys. Like I said, if all the Jewish nation and all the Jews around the world and the Christians are all praying, it's not working, maybe we got it wrong. So now let's talk about how to actually do it right. How, shall we? Prayers that actually work. So that's just a little healing of the book. And I want to share, this is, it's very, it's great that we've been going through some of these books, because do you want it to work, guys, or do you want to just continue to push the wrong texts that don't work? And I know I'm probably going to get hate mail, but I want it to work, guys. So, and this is from chapter 7 of The Greatest Secret. And then I'll show you, I want to read this part to you. How do you welcome feelings? If you actually want the exact page, it's 129. It is possible to be very peaceful in surroundings and yet be tormented. It is possible to be very peaceful in very peaceful surroundings and yet be tormented. It is possible to be in dangerous, noisy, negative feeling surroundings and yet be entirely at peace. How do you welcome feelings about subjects that you have a strong opinion about? Guys, if you watch, of course, strong opinion is going to come up when you see some of the atrocities that are happening. I'd like to nip that in the bud so we don't continue to get the same results year after year after year after year. How do you have a strong, and she lists a strong, when you have a strong stance against cruelty to animals? How about cruelty to humanity? Like I said, there's no good versus evil. There's no final battle that basically all the religious texts talk about. They misinterpreted it. It was the healing of the flesh. The final victory, the shout of the trumpet, is when the spirit leaves the body, and it's the healing of all flesh. Every human being is going to experience the healing, the word of God that comes out of them when they die. That's the great news, guys, is I'm not worried about one human being on the planet. So how do we do this when we have such charged feelings about all that? And understand, guys, if we taught from the beginning that God's not angry, if we actually taught the book is about intimacy, about the promise of life, both physically and spiritually, versus an angry God conquering or somehow needs to shed human blood, versus the life comes from the blood that shed the mighty waters that incubate and give life, which was the seed. So understand that the bad feelings you feel around the subject are causing you harm. One, they're getting you anxious, you're getting you angry, etc. And you're not helping what you care about. See, this is what I want. I'm more interested in finding the solution versus trying to make sure I got my text right. So how do you do it? Welcome the sensation and feeling of that subject evoke in you. So how does that make you feel when you see this anger, animosity? Of course, that stirs something up in you. So welcome that disapproval. Welcome the feeling of unfairness, injustice. This is wrong. Welcome that, and meaning don't try change it. Recognize that's in you. It's causing things to rise up in you, and guess what? It adds more energy to the very thing we don't want. We don't want this to continue. Keep welcoming that feeling, and if you read the rest of the chapters, just allowing that feeling to be there without trying to change it, without trying to go, this is wrong, is recognize the feelings there and just welcome it, meaning it's okay for me to feel this a minute, because a feeling that is not happy in love. So it's a feeling that's trying to get out of me. Until you feel that exhale, until you really start to feel peace. Keep welcoming until there's no sensation or feeling left when you think on the subject. You might think you don't want to stop feeling this pain about the subject, because then you'll stop caring about it. But this is the story the mind's telling you, and the very opposite's true. Your strong resistance to a subject energizes it. Why? Because if you're going, there's anger, there's evil, that adds a lot of energy and power and makes the problem bigger. Trust me, guys, we're getting to the solution. So when you release your negative feelings, rather, you're releasing all the energy you have focused on it, and you disempower the circumstances surrounding the subject. Without that negative emotion in us, guys, your true nature in every human being's on both sides, your true nature of love and compassion, even the most vile guys, their true nature is the Spirit of God, is the spirit of love and compassion in them. And they've taken these religious texts somehow that if I go destroy this nation, if I go do this, I'm somehow doing this for God. This is what they've been taught, guys. So, but their true nature is still there. Their true nature is love within them. So without the negative emotion, your love and compassion, which naturally rise in the place of the negative emotions, meaning this, when you let go of the negative emotions we have about this subject, what's left? The pure love, unconditional love, and limitless power of God, which is love. Your love and compassion, which will naturally rise in the place of the negative emotions, have atomic power, the ultimate power, guys. It says they have atomic power, and they make a huge difference in the world. Like I said, guys, everybody's been praying. We've misunderstood this, because if everybody's been praying basically in the Judeo-Christian world and it's still not working, and I know they go, well, it's because this is God's will, and in the end he's going to conquer, and those 7 bowls of wrath, guys, those 7 bowls of wrath, it's the completion of the scattering of the seed of God's passion for you. It's the promise of new life, I guarantee you. But even the Christian circles, we've made it into this, God's going to conquer evil, and evil's just raw. You shall come to behold the highest point of man and understand it. There's nothing, in fact, Israel, Ish, the fire of Ra, and then they translate El as no. That's really interesting, because the Christians translate it as no. So if you really took Israel, it would be, and they say, they translate it as the one who struggles with God. It's not one who struggles with God, guys. It's the one who has intimacy with God. That's Israel. But if you took it how the Strongs and the Latins interpreted it, it would be the fire of no. And it's not that. It says the fire Ish, or man. If you go look it up, if fire, there's the finished work of fire, which they call man. Ra, which they translate evil. It's Reshayin. You shall come to understand and experience the highest point of the man, Resh, the head, and El, the strength of the ox of the Lamed, the rod. It's the end of passion, guys. So anyway, so when we let go of all the charged feelings we have, here's what she says. When you let go of all that, you take all the energy away from that, and it automatically starts to bring peace, guys. It starts to, when you let go of all the negative emotion, your love and compassion, which naturally arise in place of the negative emotion, have atomic power and make a huge difference in the world. How much difference? This is what I love. This is what's always intrigued me, guys. And this is just one example. This is from Greg Braden's Divine Matrix. And this starts in page 115. And guess what? This was done in the Middle East, another Muslim, Christian, Judeo struggle. How much power and difference can it make in the world? Watch this. It basically is 100 people that experience peace in their own bodies, release all the charged feelings you have. And what's naturally left, guys, is going to be love and compassion. And instead of projecting anger, instead of projecting this is evil, this is wrong, and I get it, guys, I get it. Should they defend them? Absolutely, when there's that much evil. But I want to nip the evil in the bud so we can stop continuing to do this over and over and over. So check this out. This led to a landmark project, the International Peace Project in the Middle East, published in the Journal of Conflict Resolution in 1988. During the Israeli-Lebanese War of the early 1980s, practitioners, you could just say people that learned how to pray correctly, created peace in their own bodies, rather than simply thinking about it in their minds or praying for it to occur. This is what I'm saying, guys, is if you really want to make a true difference, you got to understand who you are. The presence of God is within you. And if you're crying to this outside God, please God, you're not experiencing peace in your own body. So what are you projecting out? You're projecting anxiety, fear, anger, vengeance. Adds more energy to the very thing we don't want. This is how powerful we are, guys. Rather than exactly what she says, you're a strong resistance to that subject. This is so evil and wrong. I agree, guys. If these people have been taught who they truly were versus God's going to make you victorious by wiping out another religion, their love and compassion would naturally flow. But they haven't been. They've been taught violence. And so, yes, protect yourselves. You have every right. I'm talking about something completely different. How do we actually change it? So they created peace in their own bodies. So they let those charged feelings go. And when you let everything go that's not love, guys, all that's left is love. And it's the most creative atomic power in the world. So they experienced peace in their own bodies rather than simply thinking about it in their minds or praying for it to occur, begging God out there somewhere to intervene. Guys, we're the tabernacle of God. So when we experience peace in our own bodies and we extend that, when we experience love and peace and extend that to that region, both to the Palestinians, both to the Israelites, both to everybody in the entire world, guys, that brings peace. On specific days of the month, at specific times each day, these people were positioned within the war-torn areas of the Middle East. Still today, guys, during the window of time that they were at peace, terrorism incidents, crimes against people, emergency room visits, traffic incidents all declined. When the participants stopped, the statistics reversed, meaning we have a direct effect. So when they stopped experiencing peace, it went back to all the other things that we're experiencing. These studies confirm the earlier findings. When a small percentage of the population achieved peace within themselves, right, versus getting all worked up, that peace was reflected in the world around them. And basically, it's the square root of 1%. And so here's what's interesting. This formula produces numbers that are smaller than we might expect. For example, in a city of 1 million people, the total is 100 people. So if 100 people would experience peace in their own bodies, they can extend peace to their whole city of 1 million people. In a world of 6 billion people, it's obviously not that anymore, but you get the same concept. It's about 8,000 people. So it's the square root of 1%. When you release all the negative you have, guys, go read chapter 7 again in The Greatest Secret. I encourage you to do this. When you're not pushing back against those negative feelings, this rage, etc., you realize you have it. You allow it to be there without trying to change anything. Because just know that that's not the true nature of who you are, the unconditional, limitless atomic power of your true nature, which is God himself, which is love within you. Allow all that to go. And then honestly, just experience that peace within your own body. And then you can see it start to feel the whole room you're in, feel your whole home that you're in, touching everybody there. And just start wherever you are in the world, just start to see it extend past your own home, past your own state, your own country, and just start to envelop the whole thing. And you can specifically about the Middle East, you can just see this beautiful love extending out of you, the peace that you're experiencing, and just touching everybody in that region. And 100 people, guys, that experience peace in their own bodies, they've proved statistically all the terrorism, crime, etc., brings peace to 1 million. So hopefully that helps, guys. I promise you that your book, guys, needs a little healing. It's all about the passion of God and good promises, even the worst verses like Leviticus. If you go look at the sevens and Revelation, the 7 bowls, it's the casting of the passion of God. It's all about intimacy. There's not this coming big war where God's going to win in the end. That only produces more tension. Is it now? Is it then? When's it going to happen? Oh my God, this is a sign. And the sign of the covenant, guys, is when you rest. The sign of the final covenant is when you laid down to sleep. That was proof that the final covenant that the scriptures are talking about. And you've entered into eternal rest. It wasn't about a great grand scheme where my God's going to kick your butt. I promise you. So it's all about love and intimacy. Hopefully that helps.